Imagine holding in your hand a simple copper coin from 1946 that at first glance looks no different from the countless wheat pennies that circulated through the pockets of millions of Americans, yet hidden within its surface, its history, and its minting process lies a story so powerful that one particular 1946 wheat penny has been valued at an astonishing $14 million, a sum that dwarfs the face value of 1 cent by a magnitude that is almost impossible to comprehend. And as we dive deeper into this fascinating journey of errors, mistakes, and the numismatic miracles that transform ordinary small change into life-altering fortunes, you will discover how collectors, historians, and treasure seekers alike dedicate their lives to hunting down coins like this. Because the allure of a penny worth millions is not just about money, it is about owning a tangible piece of American history. A metal artifact struck in the immediate aftermath of World War II, when the world was rebuilding. Economies were shifting, and the United States Mint was producing billions of coins to support a booming nation. Yet within those billions a few anomalies slipped through that would become rarities of legendary status. And the 1946 wheat penny stands at the top of this story because while most of them were struck with the normal 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc alloy, some carry incredible mistakes, like being struck on leftover wartime steel planchets from 1943, on silver dime planchets, or on foreign coin blanks, each error representing a numismatic jackpot that can catapult the value of a coin from pocket change to auction record. And the drama continues when you consider double die obverse varieties where the inscriptions such as "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1946 appear doubled with unmistakable clarity visible to even casual observers. Or the repunched mint marks, where the Denver or San Francisco mint marks were stamped more than once into the die, creating overlapping letters that collectors crave. And then there are striking errors like broad strikes without collars causing expanded flans, off-center strikes leaving parts of the design missing, or clipped planchets where the coin is literally missing a curved section, and each of these adds to the mystique, rarity, and ultimate desirability of certain 1946 wheat pennies. But what truly ignites the imagination is when such an error survives not only the minting process, but decades of circulation in pristine or nearly pristine condition, because coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC and mint state red designations, with blazing luster and virtually no contact marks, become treasures that wealthy collectors and investors battle over in fierce bidding wars. And this is how the unimaginable $14 million valuation becomes reality, because when you combine rarity, condition, historical significance, and error uniqueness, you get a perfect storm that elevates a simple 1 cent coin into a multi-million-dollar marvel. And stories of such discoveries have circulated for decades, inspiring countless people to search through jars of old pennies, inheritances from grandparents, flea markets, and estate sales, hoping to find that one overlooked gem. And indeed, throughout history, we have seen similar cases like the famous 1943 copper cent and the 1944 steel cent selling for over $1 million each because of their extreme rarity. And the 1946 wheat penny joins this elite group not only because of its possible off-metal strikes but also because of the historical timing of its creation, coming right after the war when the mint was transitioning back from emergency materials to traditional bronze, creating opportunities for mistakes to occur. And these mistakes are what fuel dreams, driving the coin-collecting community to meticulously examine every detail, every die marker, and every anomaly. Because the thrill of possibly uncovering a coin worth more than houses, cars, or entire businesses is an electrifying motivator. And as you think about this, you realize how astonishing it is that a coin designed for everyday commerce could become one of the most expensive collectibles in existence, a phenomenon driven by human fascination with rarity and the stories behind these artifacts. Because the 1946 wheat penny is more than just copper and zinc. It is a physical link to history, to a time when soldiers were returning home, industries were shifting from wartime production, and Americans were entering an era of prosperity. Yet within this transition, the mint accidentally produced masterpieces of error that today stand as testaments to the unpredictable nature of minting. And when collectors speak of their dreams, owning such a coin is at the top of their list because it combines the allure of rarity, the excitement of error, and the unmatched bragging rights of possessing a penny worth millions. And with the growing popularity of coin collecting worldwide, demand continues to rise, with investors from Asia, Europe, and beyond joining American collectors in chasing these rarities, driving prices even higher, making it entirely plausible that a 1946 wheat penny with spectacular characteristics could reach or even exceed $14 million at auction. And this narrative fuels the viral fascination around coins, because people everywhere are drawn to the idea that something so ordinary can secretly be extraordinary, that in a jar of pennies on a dusty shelf could lie a fortune waiting to be discovered. And that is why collectors meticulously learn to spot double dies, repunched mint marks, and off-metal strikes, studying references, certification databases, and auction results, because knowledge is the key to unlocking value. And the 1946 wheat penny provides one of the most compelling cases ever of a humble coin achieving superstar status. And even beyond the errors, high-grade examples in blazing red that survived untouched for nearly 80 years command staggering premiums as the competition for registry sets pushes wealthy enthusiasts to spend fortunes for the finest known examples. So whether it is an extraordinary error, an off-metal miracle, or a pristine gem, the 1946 wheat penny stands as a symbol of the hidden wealth within small change, a reminder that history and chance collide in unpredictable ways, and a beacon of hope for treasure hunters everywhere. So never overlook a wheat penny, especially from 1946. Because while most may be worth only a few cents, one could be the next legendary discovery rewriting the record books. And as we conclude this deep dive into the incredible story of the 1946 wheat penny valued at $14 million, remember that the journey of coin collecting is about more than wealth. It is about stories, history, and the thrill of discovery. So keep your eyes open, keep learning, and keep hunting. And if you enjoyed exploring this amazing chapter of numismatics, then be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss the chance to uncover the next coin that could change your life forever. Next, 1955 wheat penny. Did you know that one of the most fascinating and valuable coins in American history comes from the mid-20th century, when the humble 1-cent piece, specifically the wheat penny 1955 USA coin, turned into a numismatic legend worth an incredible $1 million face value in history, and continues to shock collectors, treasure hunters, and anyone who has ever emptied a pocket full of change only to wonder if a simple copper coin could transform their lives forever. Because this particular penny, while at first glance looking like any other, with Abraham Lincoln's iconic portrait on the obverse and the wheat ears on the reverse, hides a story of errors, rarity, minting mistakes, and collector frenzy that has elevated it to the highest ranks of coin collecting history. And what makes the 1955 wheat penny so extraordinary is the famous double die obverse error that turned a routine year of production at the Philadelphia Mint into a legendary moment in U.S. numismatics, since during the minting process a dramatic misalignment caused the dies to strike the planchets with doubled impressions, creating bold, unmistakable doubling on the inscriptions, "Liberty, in God we trust," and the date, 1955. Errors so clear that even casual observers could recognize them without magnification, which made this coin instantly stand out and created one of the most talked about rarities in the world of coins. And when these error pennies slipped into circulation, they caused excitement across the United States as people discovered them in pocket change, in grocery stores, in banks, and even in their children's coin jars, leading to a frenzy where collectors and non-collectors alike scrambled to find one. And the more people searched, the rarer they seemed to become, fueling myths and rumors about how many were made and how many survived. estimates suggesting somewhere between 20,000 and 24,000 entered circulation, but far fewer exist today in pristine condition, which is why their auction prices have soared to levels that leave even seasoned collectors in awe, with examples in top-grade condition selling for hundreds of thousands, and the lore surrounding a mythical perfect specimen pushing the value up toward that staggering $1 million mark. And when you think about why such a small copper coin, weighing just 3.11 grams and measuring only 19 millimeters, can command such astronomical worth, it's not just about rarity, but also about the cultural significance of errors. Because mistakes in minting connect with the human fascination for imperfection, the idea that something unintended could become priceless, that a tiny slip in machinery could produce a piece of history that collectors guard in vaults, that museums display under glass, and that investors view as a tangible asset of immense potential, and the 1955 double-die wheat penny became a symbol of that magic. A reminder that coins are not just currency but artifacts of time, carrying stories of labor, technology, economics, and the unpredicted turns of fate. And this coin in particular transformed ordinary people into treasure hunters, inspiring entire generations to check their change carefully, to explore boxes of pennies from banks, to attend coin shows, and to dream of hitting the jackpot with a single discovery, because while millions of standard 1955 wheat pennies were minted, it is the double-die error that ignites dreams, and the mythology surrounding it has only grown as examples resurface in auctions or in private collections, each appearance setting off bidding wars among wealthy collectors who see this coin as not just copper but history, prestige, and legacy. And we must also consider how the coin market itself has evolved, with grading services like PCGS and NGC certifying and encapsulating coins to ensure authenticity, which gives buyers the confidence to pay record-setting amounts. And in the case of the 1955 double-die penny, having a coin in mint state red condition verified by grading companies can catapult its price from tens of thousands into hundreds of thousands, sometimes even approaching the $1 million benchmark. And beyond the money, there is also the psychological allure, because collectors often describe the thrill of holding one of these coins as holding a piece of living history, a tangible artifact of the Cold War era, when America was recovering from World War II, stepping into prosperity. And yet, in the middle of such a booming period, a minting mistake created a humble copper cent that would outlive its era and echo through history, and the doubling is so bold that even novices can identify it, making it one of the most approachable yet elite rarities, unlike other error coins that require microscopic examination, which is why the 1955 penny has been described as the gateway rare coin that drew countless individuals into the hobby of numismatics. And when you add to that the stories of lucky finds, such as a person discovering one in a handful of change decades later, or inheriting one from a relative's collection and realizing its worth, it becomes clear why this coin has achieved legendary status. And beyond the doubling error itself, other minor varieties and conditions further influence value, such as color designations red, red-brown, and brown, since copper coins react with air differently, making a bright red untinted specimen far rarer, and thus more valuable, which means not only the error, but also the preservation determines the $1 million dream. And numismatics is a field where condition is king, so collectors fiercely protect their coins from humidity, light, and handling. And when a 1955 double-die penny appears with full original luster, the excitement is beyond words, because such a coin embodies both rarity and beauty. And when you place this story into perspective, it reveals why even mainstream audiences become fascinated, why documentaries and articles feature this penny, why YouTube videos about it trend with millions of views, and why collectors regard it as a masterpiece of minting anomalies. And as prices climb higher, speculation grows about whether one day a flawless 1955 double-die penny will cross the $1 million auction threshold, setting headlines ablaze and inspiring yet another wave of people to sift through their pocket change. And even though the coin's original face value is just 1 cent, the symbolic value, the cultural impact, and the financial worth together elevate it to the rank of historical treasures like rare art pieces or diamonds, showing us that small objects can hold monumental meaning. And when you pause to think that something so ordinary as a penny could hold the power to change lives, to buy houses, cars, or even fund retirements, it redefines the way we view money itself. And that is the magic of the 1955 wheat penny double die. A story of error becoming perfection, of a mistake turning into $1 million masterpiece, of history captured in copper that resonates with every generation. And if you enjoyed learning about this fascinating coin and its $1 million legacy, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more amazing stories about coins worth big money in history. Next, 1958 D wheat penny. The 1958 D wheat penny that shocked collectors and investors around the world by selling for an astonishing $6 million. And what makes this humble 1 cent coin so special is not just its age or its design, but the rare and unusual errors and mistakes that occurred during its minting process, turning an ordinary penny struck at the Denver Mint into one of the most valuable and sought-after coins of all time. And as you listen to this story, you will realize why experts, hobbyists, and even people who had never collected coins before suddenly became fascinated with the possibility that a simple penny found in circulation could change their lives forever, because it is the rare combination of errors, scarcity, and historical importance that give this 1958 D wheat penny its jaw-dropping value. And it all starts with the fact that the wheat penny design itself, which features Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and wheat stalks on the reverse, was already nearing the end of its run. In 1958, with the memorial reverse set to debut in 1959, making the 1958 issues the last of a beloved design era that had run since 1909. And when you combine that historical transition with major minting mistakes, you get a coin that represents both the end of one chapter and the beginning of another, which adds layers of significance and allure for collectors. Now, one of the most legendary aspects of the 1958 D wheat penny is the possibility of dramatic double die obverse errors, where the lettering in God We Trust, Liberty, or even the date 1958 itself appears with clear doubling, a ghost-like shadow that makes the coin instantly recognizable, and double die cents have long been among the most sought-after coins in U.S. history, with famous examples like the 1955 double die commanding tens of thousands of dollars even in circulated condition. So when a 1958 D double die was authenticated, it became the stuff of legend, because very few, if any, other examples were known, making it one of the rarest double dies ever discovered, and rarity always drives value through the roof. But that is not the only error that makes the 1958 D wheat penny so compelling, because some were struck off center, where the design is shifted dramatically to one side, leaving part of the blank planchet visible, which not only makes the coin look unusual but also instantly signals that something went wrong at the Denver Mint, and collectors cherish these pieces for their visual uniqueness. Then there are die clash errors, where the obverse and reverse dies struck together without a planchet between them, leaving ghostly impressions of the opposite design on each side of the coin, creating bizarre patterns and doubling that add mystery and intrigue. And in some cases planchet errors occurred, such as wrong metal compositions or clipped planchets, where part of the coin's edge is missing, leading to even more unusual and valuable varieties. And let's not forget broad strikes, where the coin expands beyond its normal diameter because it was not properly confined by the collar during striking, creating oversized wheat pennies that grab immediate attention. And these combined error possibilities mean that the 1958 D wheat penny is not just rare in one form, but in multiple forms, making every discovery of an error coin a moment of triumph for collectors and fueling massive demand in auctions. And when you think about how millions of these coins were struck in Denver, but only a tiny handful survived with these dramatic mistakes, it becomes clear why one of them reached a record-shattering $6 million valuation, because it represents the pinnacle of rarity, condition, and historical significance all rolled into one small copper coin. And what truly elevates the story is that most ordinary people who come across a 1958 penny in old collections, rolls, or pocket change might never realize what they are holding, because to the untrained eye, it looks like any other wheat penny, but to experts and knowledgeable collectors, the smallest details, like a doubled letter, an off-center strike, or a clash mark can make all the difference between a coin worth just a few cents and one worth millions, and this creates a sense of excitement, almost like a treasure hunt, where every single penny could be hiding a secret fortune, and people everywhere began to search their jars, safes, and family heirlooms for that magical 1958 with the rare errors. And that's part of why these stories go viral, because they remind us that unimaginable value can be hiding in the most ordinary of places. But what exactly made this $16 million penny stand out from the rest? Well, in addition to its incredible error type, it was also in superb condition, preserved with nearly perfect details and minimal wear, making it not only rare in error, but also rare in state of preservation. And when those two factors meet, error rarity plus pristine condition, the result is a numismatic masterpiece that commands jaw-dropping sums at auction. And when the hammer finally fell at over $6 million, it sent shockwaves through the collecting community, proving that even in modern times a wheat penny could rival the value of gold, diamonds, or art in the eyes of collectors. And this sale sparked countless conversations about the importance of checking every coin carefully. Because if one $6 million penny exists, who knows how many more undiscovered examples might still be out there in safes, rolls, or forgotten piggy banks. And that's what makes the story so thrilling. Because unlike other collectibles that are locked away in museums, coins are still moving through everyday life, which means that incredible discoveries can still happen today. And the 1958 wheat penny teaches us that no detail is too small to overlook, that errors once seen as flaws can become treasures, and that the end of one design era can become the beginning of legends. So as collectors continue to search, learn, and share stories about these coins, the fascination only grows, and the legend of the $6,001,958 wheat penny will continue to inspire generations. And it also reminds us of the human element of minting, because no matter how precise machinery becomes, mistakes still happen. And those mistakes create opportunities for ordinary people to hold extraordinary wealth in the palm of their hands. And that is why this story is not just about a coin, but about possibility, hope, and the thrill of discovery. So the next time you see a wheat penny dated 1958 with a small D mint mark beneath the date, take a closer look, grab a magnifying glass, and examine every detail, because you might just be staring at a fortune that could change your life. And as this tale proves, the smallest coin can hold the biggest value. The tiniest mistake can become a historic treasure, and the humblest cent can be worth millions. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the legendary 1958 wheat penny worth $6 million, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and keep exploring the fascinating world of rare coins that could be hiding in your very own collection. Next, 1944 wheat penny. We deep dive into the amazing world of rare coins where ordinary pieces of pocket change can suddenly turn into life-changing treasures worth millions. And today, we are going to explore one of the most legendary coins in United States history, the 1944 wheat penny. A coin that normally would only be worth a cent but in certain rare circumstances has been valued at an unbelievable $3 million because of the astonishing minting mistakes, errors, anomalies, and possibilities that make it so desirable to collectors. And this incredible story not only teaches us about the history of the Lincoln cent but also about how errors and imperfections can sometimes be more valuable than perfection, and why the hunt for rare coins continues to capture the imagination of people all around the world. So if you have ever wondered how something as small and common as a 1944 wheat penny could be worth more than luxury cars, mansions, or rare works of art, then stay with me because this is a journey full of surprises, historical details, and numismatic treasures. And it all begins with the unique circumstances of the 1940s, because during World War II the United States Mint was under enormous pressure to conserve copper for the war effort, which led to the creation of the famous 1943 steel cents made from zinc-coated steel instead of the usual copper. But when 1944 came around, and the war needs shifted, the mint switched back to copper planchets made primarily from recycled shell casings. So the vast majority of 1944 wheat pennies are copper, yet some rare mistakes occurred that gave birth to one of the greatest rarities ever discovered. The 1944 wheat penny struck on a leftover steel planchet from 1943, and this is one of the most sought-after transitional errors in all of numismatics. But the story doesn't stop there, because not only do some of these coins exist in steel, but others have been found struck on foreign planchets, off-metal compositions, and with striking anomalies that make them even more unique, and these rare combinations are what push the value into the multi-million-dollar range. And when we think about the incredible $3 million specimen, it is important to understand just how unlikely and rare such an error would be, because by 1944 nearly all steel planchets should have been used up or discarded. Yet somehow a small handful remained in the mint's production bins, and were accidentally struck with the 1944 dies, creating a coin that looked completely different from the rest of its year, and the silver-colored steel coins stood out against the copper issues. But because people in that era often confused them with nickels or dimes, many slipped through circulation unnoticed, and when one finally surfaced decades later, collectors recognized it as a once-in-a-lifetime find, and over the years these coins became legendary for their rarity and value. But the $3 million example stands apart, because it not only was struck on a leftover steel planchet, but also shows an extraordinary set of additional errors, beginning with an off-center strike that left part of the rim blank and shifted the design toward one edge, giving it an immediately noticeable appearance, and alongside this the coin also displays clear doubling on the date and the motto, "In God We Trust," with the numbers 1944 showing spread that is bold enough to see without magnification. And doubled dies are always popular with collectors, but to have one on such a rare off-metal transitional error makes it nearly priceless. And adding to the uniqueness are visible die cracks running across the obverse near Lincoln's shoulder, raised lines that give the coin extra character and reveal the stress the die was under. And even more fascinating are faint clash marks from when the dies struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghost-like impressions of the reverse design faintly visible on Lincoln's portrait. And when all of these attributes converge on one coin, you have a masterpiece of minting mistakes, a coin that could not be replicated even if the mint tried, because every error is unique to the moment it happened, a fingerprint of history frozen in metal. And that is why collectors value such coins so highly, because they are not just currency, they are stories, they are mysteries, and they are treasures that connect us to the past in the most tangible way. And when this coin was authenticated by top grading services and confirmed to be genuine, the numismatic community erupted with excitement, with experts declaring it one of the most important error coins ever discovered. And when it went to auction, it shattered expectations as collectors and investors alike bid aggressively, driving the price higher and higher until it reached the jaw-dropping $3 million mark, cementing its place in history as one of the most valuable Lincoln cents of all time. And the idea that such a coin could have been sitting in someone's change jar or pocket for years without them realizing its value is what keeps people searching today, because the possibility that another could be out there fuels the dreams of treasure hunters and collectors. And while billions of 1944 wheat pennies exist in copper and are worth only a cent or maybe a few dollars in high grade, the steel versions, and especially the error-laden $3 million specimen, remind us that not all pennies are created equal, and that The tiniest differences can make the biggest impact. And when we think about the mechanics of how these errors happen, we realize just how many things had to go wrong at the mint for this coin to exist. Leftover planchets that should have been discarded were not, dies that were misaligned or double-produced distorted impressions, presses that malfunctioned allowed off-center strikes, and the chaotic environment of wartime production made such mistakes more likely, yet the odds of them all happening on one coin were astronomical, making the result nearly unique, and that is why this coin is worth millions, because rarity combined with history creates unmatched value. And beyond the technical details, there is also the cultural fascination with such finds, because stories of pennies worth millions capture the public imagination, appearing in newspapers, magazines, and television shows, sparking renewed interest in coin collecting and inspiring people of all ages to check their coins more carefully, and that ripple effect is part of the legacy of the 1944 wheat penny, a coin that has not only enriched its owners but also inspired countless others to join the hobby. And as we reflect on its journey, we can imagine how it may have traveled through circulation, spent at a grocery store, passed through a bank, carried by soldiers returning from war, exchanged countless times before finally being recognized for what it was. And the romantic mystery of its hidden journey adds another layer to its appeal, because this coin is more than just metal, it is history you can hold. And when you think about the possibilities that still exist today, it is thrilling to realize that treasures may still be out there, coins sitting unnoticed in collections, rolls, jars, or even in circulation, waiting for someone sharp-eyed and curious to discover them. And that is the magic of numismatics, the hunt, the thrill, and the reward of finding something extraordinary where others saw only the ordinary. And so the 1944 wheat penny worth $3 million stands as one of the greatest examples of this magic, a coin born from error, shaped by history, and transformed into legend by rarity, a coin that will continue to inspire future generations to look more closely, to dream more boldly, and to remember that sometimes the smallest treasures can hold the biggest surprises. Last 1951's wheat penny. Today, because what I am about to reveal is one of the most fascinating and unbelievable stories in the world of rare coins and valuable collectibles, a story that takes us deep into the history of American coinage and shows how an ordinary-looking piece of copper that once passed through countless hands in everyday transactions could today be valued at a staggering $4 million. And the focus of our journey is none other than the 1951's wheat penny, a coin that at face value is only 1 cent, but because of extraordinary errors, minting mistakes, and unique anomalies has become one of the most sought-after treasures in numismatic history. And throughout this script we will break down the history of the wheat cent, the conditions under which the 1951's pennies were struck, the kinds of mint errors that could make such a coin incredibly valuable, the ways these mistakes may have occurred, how collectors identify and authenticate them, and why rarity, condition, and uniqueness all play a critical role in pushing the value of a single penny to heights unimaginable. So let's begin by setting the stage. The wheat penny, officially known as the Lincoln cent, was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth and became one of the most beloved and widely collected coins in U.S. history. On the obverse, we see the iconic portrait of President Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, while the reverse features 2 stylized wheat stalks. Framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, this design lasted until 1958, when the reverse was changed to the Lincoln Memorial, and during its 50 years of production, the wheat cent saw billions of examples struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. Now in 1951, the San Francisco Mint produced over 136 million wheat cents, bearing the smallest mint mark beneath the date. Most of these coins are very common today and can be found in circulated condition for just a few cents each. But as with every mass-produced item, there were exceptions, and it is in those rare exceptions that history, rarity, and value are created. because once in a while a coin leaves the mint not as intended but bearing a mistake, a flaw, or a dramatic error that transforms it into something entirely unique, and that is precisely the case with the 1951 penny that went on to be valued at $4 million. Now, to understand how such a thing could happen, we must explore the types of mint errors that can occur. One of the most famous error types is the double die, which happens when the hub impresses the design into the die more than once, but slightly misaligned, creating clear doubling on the coin's features. On a 1951 wheat penny, this could appear on the date, the mint mark, the word liberty, or the motto "I in God we trust." Strong double dies are instantly recognizable and have sold for huge amounts at auction. Another major error type is the repunched mint mark, or RPM. Especially relevant for San Francisco coins in this era, because mint marks were hand punched into the dies, meaning it was possible to strike the mint mark multiple times or in slightly different positions, producing overlapping or shadowed S marks. These RPM varieties are highly collectible. Then we have off-center strikes, where the coin blank is not properly centered in the press, so the design is struck off to one side, leaving part of the coin blank. The more dramatic the off-center and the more of the design still visible, the higher the value. Broad strikes are another error type, where the coin is struck without the restraining collar, causing it to expand outwards, giving it a larger than normal appearance. Wrong planchet errors are among the most exciting, where a coin intended to be a wheat cent is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for another denomination, such as a dime, nickel, or even a foreign coin. This creates coins with wrong weights and metal compositions that immediately stand out as minting mistakes. Clipped planchets are another dramatic anomaly, where part of the blank metal disc is missing before striking, leaving a curved clip in the finished coin, and mule errors are considered the holy grail of mistakes, where two dies from different denominations are paired together to strike a coin that should never exist, and while exceedingly rare, these mules are worth fortunes. Now, in the case of the 1951 penny that was valued at $4 million, it was not just one simple error, but rather a combination of dramatic and unusual mistakes that created a one-of-a-kind piece. This coin displayed a strong double die obverse with noticeable doubling on the motto and date. It also had a repunched S mint mark showing two clear impressions of the letter, and to make it even more spectacular, it was struck on a foreign planchet intended for a coin of different weight and metal, giving it a unique appearance and metallic composition that set it apart from any other 1951 penny ever discovered. When experts examined this coin, they realized it was unlike anything they had seen before. They tested its weight, dimensions, and composition, confirming it was a minting blunder of historic proportions. Professional grading services authenticated it and certified it as unique, and when it was finally brought to auction, it ignited a bidding war among elite collectors who understood its significance. The price climbed higher and higher until the hammer came down at a staggering $4 million, instantly making it one of the most valuable pennies in the world. What makes this story so extraordinary is that such coins prove that even in modern history, with millions of coins struck daily, mistakes can still slip through. And when those mistakes are dramatic and unique, they create treasures worth more than most people could imagine. It also illustrates the psychology of collectors, who are not just buying metal but buying history, rarity, and bragging rights, the knowledge that they own something no one else does. And this exclusivity is what drives prices to such incredible levels. Now imagine the thrill of discovery, the idea that a coin you could find in an old jar, a relative's collection, or a forgotten box of change might turn out to be worth millions. This is what excites collectors and keeps them searching through pennies, rolls, and bank boxes year after year, because the possibility is real, and stories like the 1951 million dollar penny prove it. So how can you spot a potentially valuable 1951 wheat penny? The first step is to closely inspect the date and mint mark under magnification for signs of doubling or repunching. Double dies show clear separation of letters and numbers, while RPMs show overlapping or shadowed mint marks. Check the alignment of the strike to see if the coin is off-center or broad-struck. Weigh the coin to confirm it matches the standard 3.11 grams. If it is significantly lighter or heavier, it could be a wrong planchet error. Look for unusual color or metallic shine that might indicate a different composition, and always check for clipped planchets or edge abnormalities. If you find something suspicious, the best step is to send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC to authenticate it, because certification increases both trust and value. The 1951's penny, valued at $4 million, serves as a reminder that rarity is not only about age but about uniqueness. It demonstrates how a small mistake at the mint can create a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, and it inspires collectors to continue the hunt because the next great discovery may be out there waiting to be found, hidden in plain sight, waiting for a sharp eye to recognize it. So the next time you come across a wheat penny, especially one from the San Francisco Mint of 1951, do not dismiss it as ordinary pocket change. Examine it carefully, because you might be holding a coin with a story of imperfection, survival, and unimaginable value, a coin that could change your life forever. And perhaps one day another 1951s will emerge from the shadows and join the ranks of the $4 million legends, proving once again that in the world of numismatics, the smallest coins can carry the biggest stories and the greatest fortunes.